Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our program Spiritual Insight. And today I have a very special edition for you with this program. We have a special guest behind the scenes who will provide us some spiritual insight. And you will be able to take benefit from this individual. We're not allowed to name the person because he doesn't want to name himself. However, if you have any questions that are related to your personal life and you need some answers from spiritual insight, then today is the day where we can answer those questions for you. And I would like to start the program with our guest, our regular guest, Jafar Imran, Sheikh Jafar Imran. Welcome to the program. How are you, Jafar? How's everything going with you in Kenya? You're not in Kenya now, are you? I think you're in Tanzania. Is it correct?
Yes, currently I'm in Tanzania.
Welcome to the program, Brother Jafar. How was your journey to Tanzania from Kenya?
Alhamdulillah, it was good. And Alhamdulillah, the weather is also good, just like Kenya. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hoping you are all fine and you had a fantastic day being in the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and hope you enjoyed your fasting and your ibadah as well on this day.
So, Brother Jafar, what I was going to say is that while we're doing this program today, I have a special guest. I have a surprise for you as well, for our viewers and yourself, which is that we have a special Moulana. He's very spiritually advanced in his spirituality. And so if you have any questions related to the ilm, no, I won't say ilm ghaib because ilm ghaib only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. But through the method of spirituality and through the opening of the Quran, he has so much eyesight or insight, I should say. Insight is the correct word, not eyesight. Insight, the basira, he has so much basira that he is able to tell some issues that you'll be surprised at how did he know, and solutions to the problems through the nur of Quran. And so I wanted to share this today with our viewers. Why I want to do this is to explain to them that there is another dunya, there is another world other than just the physical world, where you can get answers from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like how we open the Quran and we do istikharas for our people that do ask us, or they ask us for istikharas and we open the Quran. So these individuals are more spiritually wise, more advanced. They are more mystically advanced. They have more, let's say, spiritual power. So at the end, actually during the whole program, if anyone has a question, they just need to send us a message on the number provided, and they can ask whatever the question they have to ask. We won't say your name on the program, on the TV channel, but we will just say the last four numbers of your phone number, and we'll say so and so. You asked this question, and this is the answer. We'll keep it confidential. This is just a little bit of a taste into what spirituality and how we can benefit from the Quran itself. I myself personally have a spiritual guide. Whenever I have personal issues, I go to that individual, I ask the questions, and he answers my questions through the Quran itself. And I think you've met him once with me, Brother Jafar. It was in Qom, near the Haram, the Hotel Olympic. I took you to that masjid once. Do you remember? Do you recall?
No, not really, because it was way back.
Oh,
So
let's not waste time then. No problem. So I'll leave it to you now, Brother Jafar. If you could start off the program with about Ramadan itself, perhaps. Yeah, so if you could.
Okay, today I had planned to share something to do with Ramadan issue, the ahkams of this holy month of Ramadan concerning travelers. Concerning travelers, the people who travel from one point to another, are they allowed to break their fasts or they are not allowed to break their fast. So here we come with some points, is that if your work is traveling, let me say your work, if you are a traveler, you are a daily traveler, or your work is to travel from one point to another point, like just a driver, or even let me call it a captain, then you are not allowed to break your fasting because that's your daily routine. You have to travel from one point to another. So even if you will cross, or even if you will, yes, even if you will cross that distance of 44 kilometers, you are still not allowed to break your fasting because your work is your work concerns traveling. So that is one thing about the people who shouldn't break their fast during this month of Ramadan. The other person is a person who travels for the purpose of doing masiyah, doing a haram thing. Let me say somebody just intends to travel from one point to another. He intends to travel from Kenya to Tanzania, or from Johannesburg to Namibia or Cape Town. We know that he will cross the distance. That is one thing. That one allows him to break his fast. The second thing, this person, his work is not traveling. He's not a driver. He's not a captain. He's not anything, or even a train conductor. He's just a person, a normal person. But he intends to travel from one city to another city because of being a haram thing, because of being a masih. This person is also not allowed to break his fasting. Are we together? So the person who is, then there is another one more thing for a traveler who travels from his city to the destination and arrives to the destination before Adhan Dhuhr, before Dhuhr prayers, he can continue with his fasting without breaking it. Let me say, here in Kenya, we normally pray Dhuhr prayer at 13:00, yani at 1 p.m. So I started my journey from one point around 6. I departed from my destination, from my hometown, and I arrived, let me say, from Kisumu or even from Nakuru. I started my journey from one point, which is Nakuru. I went to Nairobi, which is around 3 hours, and I arrived to my destination before Dhuhr prayer. That day, I won't break my fast, and I will consider it as a fasting person, and I will get thawab, and there is no way I can break my fast of that day. That is one. Another person is a person who traveled past Dhuhr prayers. He traveled past Dhuhr prayers. He prayed his Dhuhr in his hometown, then he decided to travel. And he arrived there, whatever time he arrived there, let me say at 3, or even past 3, or even at Maghrib time, that person should also observe his fasting, and he shouldn't break his fasting. So the trick is here. If a person travels from his hometown at around 12 and arrives at destination at around 2, that means the Dhuhr prayer was at 1. So that person on that day, he doesn't have, he won't be considered as a fasting person. His fasting will be nullified. So, and one thing is that if you people try and to play with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's law and command, it will be very difficult for you to repay the fasting. That is one thing. And the second thing, you won't get the same thawab as a person who fasts during this time of Ramadan. So if you want to play that trick with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah won't give you the benefits or the rewards that He normally gives to other person who fasts during this month of Ramadan. So that's it. If you have another point, Brother Hassan, you can add over here.
Yes, I have, Brother Jafar. There's a lot of confusion on this with not our viewers, but a lot of people that are fasting. Some of them even have this concept, Brother Jafar, that they say, "Oh, I've traveled to another place, another city, but I came back, and so I didn't do any of the remarks, the things that invalidates the fast. So my fast is valid." So, for example, he goes in the morning, or she travels in the morning outside of her city, her town, her hometown, or his hometown, and then they come back in the afternoon. So, but they haven't broken their fast, they haven't done anything like this. But them traveling out and then coming back is invalidating their fast. But they don't understand this. And unfortunately, this is what I need to explain. So, dear viewers and brothers and sisters, if you travel in the morning, it invalidates your fast. However, if you return back within the morning time, so before Zohar, your fast can be valid. But if you return back after Zohar, it's invalid. Still, you have to stay in the condition of fasting as a respect for the month for that day, and try not to eat anything. But you will have to do the qada after my Ramazan, the month of Ramazan is over. This is something that a lot of those that travel, they confuse themselves with this decision. I once made the same mistake, so I had to break my fast for some reason. So I traveled outside of the city, and it was morning time, Brother Jafar. So I traveled outside, and I passed the certain distance that you have to travel, which is I passed the Tarakos, and then a few more miles, and I returned back. So the mistake I did was I didn't eat anything, so I didn't break the fast once I was outside of the city, and I had traveled a certain distance. So when I came back, and it was still morning time. So I assumed at that time when I was still studying in Qom, and I told my teacher, yeah, I went outside, so my fast is invalid. He said, well, how did you open your fast? What did you eat? I said, oh no, I forgot to eat something. He said, no, you have to keep your fast now. So this is what happened with me. And then I had to keep my fast. So brothers and sisters, if you have to, for an emergency, whatever it is, if sometimes something comes up and you have to invalidate your fast. So you have to travel outside of the city in the morning time. It can't be after Zohar, and you must do something to invalidate your fast. So what does that mean? Eat something, drink something, so that then you no longer are in the state of fast. And then you can return back within morning. So this is a mistake I did, and then I had to suffer the whole day, and I had to keep my fast. Otherwise, so this happens as well, brother Jafar.
For that brother, just have a cup of water right now for remembrance of that day.
Right. So let's moving on. Brother, you look a bit tired today. Is everything okay with you? Yeah, you look good. Everything okay? You seem tired today.
Oh, me? Do I look tired?
Yes.
No,
Yeah, I don't know.
the lights are not there, so I've just placed a temporary light over here. Yeah.
I see. Yes, I understand. There's light is gone, the electricity is gone.
1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes before we start the program, so the lights went. Sorry.
Right. Coming back to our topic. So yeah, last time we discussed about proudness, humility. We spoke about inferiority complex, superiority complex, and we gave some missiles. Do you have any missiles to give? Some examples, Brother Jafar? You said there is something that you wanted to address on this further. Or have we completed everything on this aspect?
Inshallah, that one I will raise it later. But today, we would like to also talk about, when it comes to the issue of controversial issue, we would like to talk about issue concerning gender equality.
Gender equality.
Should we discuss about it, or you want to talk about another issue, or you have any point to raise?
No. Let's discuss about gender equality. I think that's a good point to start. And I'm sure you probably said you got it in your country as well.
Yes. One thing here in my country, the ladies normally say, what a man can do, a woman can do better. And with that regard, people over here, they think that they should be equal and they should be given equal rights. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to gender equality, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave every person or every human being his own rights, whether it in the marriage. So the wife has her own right, and also the husband have his own rights. May it be in children, the daughter has her own right, and also your son has his own right, whether it is in inheritance or anything that you need to provide to your kids, whether you're alive or dead. So everybody has his own right. But concerning this gender equality, it reached to a point that today I don't want to talk about what there are, first of all, I would like to explain the general picture about the issue of gender equality. Inshallah, tomorrow, basing on this, inshallah, we are going to talk about the rights of a husband to his wife and the rights of a wife to her husband. So that one I will talk about it tomorrow. But today I would just like to explain it, to give it a general, view concerning this issue of gender equality. There was a person asking that if you think we have to be equal when it comes to gender equality, then men should also be given power, or should also be allowed to give birth. But that one doesn't concern us. The issue of giving birth, that one depends on a woman. And the other thing is that if we have we should have gender equality and we have to be equal in our own rights, then the husband should stay at home and let the wife work. And that one is not okay. In Islam, it doesn't say like that. In Islam says it is the woman's right to be provided with shelter, to be provided with clothes, and to be provided with what? The food and shelter and clothing. Those are three things that the woman, it is a woman's right to provide it with by her husband. But on the other side, women, they don't understand that. Everybody it's my right to do this. No, we are equal. You can bring 50, I can bring 50. No. Our responsibility is to look for the house and protect it from outside. That means no outsider should come in to harm my family. And another thing, I should be going out and to provide, the daily needs for my family. That is one thing. On the other side, one person, one of our Sayyids from Kenya, his name is Syed Alawi. Some viewers know him. He was saying that you ladies, not your brother Faizul Hassan, I'm talking about the viewers. You ladies, you make a mistake when you talk about, I want my right. You ask the wrong person about your own right, because this man that you are asking about your own right, his right is also limited, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the man's right through the tongue of the Holy Prophet and Ayima alayhi salatu wasalam. So you cannot ask a person who also doesn't own his own right about your own right. You have to go to the lawmaker. You have to go to the person who gave you the rights and who gave him the rights. That is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says, Ma farratna fil kitabi min shay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before He created us, He placed everything in order. So we should check out our rights, and we should know our own rights, and we should know the opposite side's right. Yes, brother. You have another point?
Well, Jafar, yeah, I have a point to say. I think the lecture is nice you're giving, but I think it's becoming a bit dry. So let's make it a little bit interesting. I'm not saying that you're not saying it's something interesting. It just needs to spice it up a bit because the views.
No problem. You belong to the other people who use a lot of spices. So no problem. Continue.
So what I wanted to say is that Brother Jafar has a very valid point. It's not just a problem in your country, Brother Jafar. It's everywhere now, where gender equality. And unfortunately, this gender equality is going to such an extent. Well, let me give you an example. It's not an example. It's actually something that's really happening in America. So you have sports. You have men's sports. You have female sports. Yes, and you would never ever consider a man doing sports in a female competing with females, or a female competing with a male. Would you ever consider that?
Yes.
No. It doesn't make sense because
no, I've never.
Logically, rationale explains that a man's physique is different from a female's physique, and they all have different capacities and potentialities. But in the country that we call the Great Satan, okay, over there, the problem is that what's happening is men are having hormones done to them, so they are injecting themselves with estrogen hormones. So the hormones then brings out the woman side in them, so their breasts develop and the voice change. Some things happen, some changes happen to them, and then they join into the female sports competitions, and they're breaking records. So this is the problem that now happens in the world. and well, not in the world, but in that land that we call the Great Satan. So this is another problem there. But coming back to normality, where normal people, where woman, like you said, is competing with a man to have the equal rights or gender equality. This is, in my opinion, this is craziness. How can a man compare himself to a woman, or a woman compare herself to a man? They have two different functions. They have two different, from the genes. If you look at them genetically, scientifically, they're not the same. They're not the same. Yes, they're the human species, but they complement one another in different ways. A man is not complete
Yes.
without a woman, and a woman is not complete without a man. But if the woman tries to be a man and a man tries to be a woman, when they're not really those things, what happens then? It's a biryani then, or I think worse than a biryani. So this is something that I think we need to consider and discuss about. I'm sure in our Muslim community we have such individuals who are also perhaps having an identity crisis. Perhaps they are
Yes.
feeling as though I need to compete with a female sister might be thinking she needs to compete with her husband. She needs to be like her husband. She needs to be like this. Or the husband has to think, oh, I have to be more like my wife. I have to be more cooking the food, looking after the kids, which is a good thing. I recommend all husbands participate in their homes. They help their wives, and they should do this because this is one of the seerah of our Almighty Alima, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he also participated in homely work. But their main task was not this. Their main task was something else. And just like this, the jihad of a man is different from the jihad of a woman. Am I correct, Brother Jafar? We cannot compare the
Yes.
jihad
Yes. Yes.
of a man to be the same as the jihad of a brother of a sister.
That's true.
What do you think?
They both participate in jihad, but in different fields.
Yes, and I think the problem happens is when we start crossing each other's boundaries. What do you think? When we cross the
Yes.
boundaries, what kind of effects will happen, Brother Jafar? What do you think will happen if let's give an example. If a woman tries to be a man, can that relationship
There will
survive?
be,
A couple, can they survive? What would happen
there
in
will
your
be,
opinion?
there will be chaos and crisis, and there will people they will be having a balanced life because uh, no one will look at his own rights and territories. He will just try to cross the other person's territory and to experience what the other person is getting from the other side, thinking that on the other side is a bit easier than his or her own side.
I've seen, Brother Jafar, a lot of couples break up, families break up because of this very gender equality problem, where they have this issue. But then there are some scenarios where sometimes the woman is earning more than the man. For example, what happens then? Can the man eat his ego and be satisfied with this? Can he let the woman be the breadwinner for the family? What's your opinion on this? It's very controversial. So be careful what you say.
Here, okay, you are dragging me to something else that I didn't want to talk about when I mentioned this issue of gender equality. Concerning this issue is that it is a woman's right, or it is a man's right from his wife if she wants to go out. It is our right as men to be requested for permission when our women or our wives want to go out. That, oh, brother Faizul Hassan Zaidi, please, I'm requesting for permission. I want to go and so and so. I want to visit my friend. I want to go to a shop or something like that. So a woman is not allowed, or let me call it this way: a wife is not allowed to get out of her husband's house or to get out of her house without her husband's permission. That is one. The second thing, if she wants to work, then she shouldn't go to work, or she shouldn't work without her husband's permission. That is the second issue, the second reduction. The third thing, if the woman works and she earns more than the husband, first of all, the husband has already allowed the woman to go out. The second thing, the husband has already allowed the woman to work and earn, provided the man knows whatever his wife is doing outside. If so, here comes the issue of salary. If the woman earns more than the husband, whatever figure that she earns, the husband does not have a permission to take the earnings from that wife. That earning belong to the wife, and the man's responsibility will still remain the same. The man has to provide for the wife food, shelter, and clothing. Whether the man receives 500 pounds and the wife receives 5,000 pounds, maybe if the woman is so merciful and she's so caring, she can tell the husband, you know what, we are living in a rental house. Let me provide the rent of this month. Then you look for us for the food, and you pay for the people for the kids' school fee. But I will just chip in and give out I will just chip in and provide the rent. So that is not an issue. But it's not a must for a woman to do so. If she wants, she will do. But it is not her obligation to do that. That is a man's it is a man's responsibility to look for that issue, or to sort out the needs of the wife and the kids. So if the woman earns more, the husband is not allowed to take anything from her salary without her permission, even if he is a man. So that is the issue.
Yes, and the best example, I think, Brother Jafar, is if you look at the seerah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His first and only wife, Hazrat Khadija alayhi salam. So she was more richer than him, wealthier than him, and we can use that as a role model for those sisters and brothers that are in a relationship where the quality of perhaps the pay or one spouse is more richer than the other spouse, then they can follow the seerah of Rasulullah and see how they live. Where Rasulullah did not have wealth, while Hazrat Khadija did have wealth, and she helped in her husband's mission. So I think the key is that the couple must have a goal in their life, Brother Jafar. And if a couple has a goal in their life, then it doesn't matter who has money more or who's earning more. They're working for the same goal, the same direction. And if we take the example of our Prophet, we can understand that their goal was Islam. So it wasn't important if Rasulullah had the money or if Lady Khadija had the money. Their goal was one. Hazrat Khadija wanted to increase the mission of Rasulullah and his mission, and that's why she spent all her wealth in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for her husband and for his mission. So I think this is the best example for all those couples that are out there. Do not fall in the trap of this materialism where the dunya says to you, oh, you shouldn't be with this man, you're earning more than him. Or to tell the man, oh, you should be ashamed, your wife is earning more than you. Don't fall into this trap. Follow the seerah of your Prophet. And I think that's the best way you can pull yourself out of this kind of mess or this kind of propaganda that is given to our Muslim brothers and sisters.
One more thing to add is that in a couple's marriage, the goal is to provide comfort to your husband and to your wife. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. So if you see your husband, is in an economical pressure and you have money, then just help him out. It is the person whom you decided to live with. It is your right to support your husband. It's not your man's right, but it is your right, because you see your man is struggling, he's financially down, he's broke. Why don't you chip in and try to help your husband? You'll provide him with comfort, and he will reflect back the comfort to you.
And I think only those relationships can survive is those that are humble. Again, our topic about humble. But if one of them gets a pride and thinks that he's better than the other one, this is where the problem will start happening. This is where the breakdown of the relationship is. I've heard that two proud people cannot survive together. One proud person and one humble person can still manage the relationship. But if both are humble, it's a very pleasant and pleasurable and loving relationship. So this is something I read and I've heard it from Riwayat as well, that two humble spouses together, they can survive the relationship. One proud and the other one humble can still manage it. But if both of them are proud, there's bound to be war, there's bound to be arguments, there's bound to be fights, and etc. It won't be a very peaceful environment. And then it won't be a loving environment, because if you have your egos too high, then in a couple, in a partnership, you cannot have egos there, because ego is the first step of breaking that relationship, Brother Jafar. And this is where we come back to this gender equality. Gender equality is a problem, because if you equate gender equality with income or with materialism, then sometimes the female is earning more than the male, or the male is earning more than the female. And the other problem is this, where when we talk about gender equality, there's this point where women shouldn't work. Now, of course, the ideal situation is man earns money while the woman, looks after the children, feeds the children, is responsible for the house. This is an ideal kind of a Islamic dream. I would say like you have the American dream. This is the Islamic ideal nucleus family, where husband is a protector, the guardian, and the provider, while the woman is a maintainer of the house, protecting her husband's assets and his children, and nourishing the children, because this is how we see, this is how nature works. But the world that we live in, it's not so black and white, and it's not so rosy cozy, because you need female doctors, you need female nurses, you need female teachers, you need female lawyers, you need female, all of these things a female also requires. You cannot have a male doctor treating a female patient, because we still have the Islamic, the hijab and the mahram and nahmaram ahkamat. So definitely we do need, from both sides, both male and female need to have doctors, nurses, psychologists, psychiatrists, and all those kind of things. Both of them need this. Unfortunately, we do not have an perfect Islamic system where we can implement these things, where we can show that both individuals are needed in society, but within their own rivers. Because in Surah Rahman, Brother Jafar, we read in Surah Rahman that the two rivers, they do not merge, they don't cross the boundaries. I can't remember the ayat, but this is the translation, that these two rivers, or those two seas, do not mix with one another. They are flowing in their own barriers. They stay within their own places. So a man cannot enter a woman's domain, and a woman cannot enter the man's domain. They have to stay within their domains. If they do enter each other's domains, then this will be fitna, there will be corruption of the system, corruption of the fitrah, and many other problems will come up. And we are now seeing the problems and the fitnas and the corruption that is happening in the world. You just have to look at America, where this is a problem now, where the right, you've got the division of the right camp and the left camp, where the left people are promoting this while the right are against this, and there's a battle going on over there with regards to this. Is there anything you want to add, Brother Jafar, on this?
No, bro. I think we've talked enough about this issue of gender equality, and the time is also not by our side. We are just remaining 20 minutes. So I would like us to go to another topic that is about the issue of Salah. If you have any point, bro, just raise it up.
Yes, I just want to, I got a message now from the caller with this number 7341. You've asked a question about your personal circumstances where you're not earning money enough, and whether you should trust that person. So I've passed your information to our special Arif, our guest, who's behind the scenes, and he said this. So from the control room, he said this, that you have a problem with your boss in your workplace, and that boss has said that you cannot, he doesn't want you to be his partner. So you've got something you want to invest, and he doesn't want you to be his partner, and that's why he's not giving you the opportunity. So if you want to do your own business, then you have to do it somewhere else. Otherwise, he will see you as a competitor. I hope this answers your question. And if you want to know from which surah an ayat it is, we can pass it on to you. So coming back to our salat point, so in the salat which I always want to mention here, while we're fasting, our fasting shouldn't be without our salat. Salat is the foundation of our deen. Salat is the foundation of our religion. Once you've accepted the monotheism, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the first ibadah that you have to do is salat. This is the first right on you to give, on you to for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you must pray your salat and pray it on time, especially in the month of Ramadan. Now, what is salat? Salat is a process, it's an entity. Salat itself exists, it's a living being. Salat itself is a living being, it exists. Just like you and I exist, we have conscience, we think, we have feelings. Salat also has this type of feelings and conscience. It is an entity that exists. Only the difference is we exist with a body, with a physical material, like our bodies. They are made out of clay. So the salat is metaphysical. It doesn't have a physical essence as the dunya, but it does exist, just like the angels, just like the jinns, the jinns that exist. These salat also exists, and it is one of your companions. So when we're praying, we're performing while we're doing ruku, qiyam, sujood, all of these actions in salat. These are physical actions that we are doing, but salat itself is an embodiment. Each person has a salat as a companion. Now it is up to us how much we honor it or how much we degrade it. And depending on that are the effects that we will get. If we degrade it, it will then give us la'an and curse us and make badua for us. Or we can make it our best friend. This very salat that exists, that has feelings, can also become your best friend, and it will help you in situations where you wouldn't have imagined where to get help from. And all of our Ahlebait Tayyareen, whenever they had a situation, a problem, they would take the support of salat. Salat is the most important being for us in our career, in our personal life, in our progression towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think of salat as a living being. You can't see it, but it exists. Think of it as your best friend. And for a best friend, how would you want to treat your best friend? You would want to do the best to anything for your best friend. So see it as that. And if you look at it from that kind of perspective, then you will actually understand and enjoy salat. So give your time to salat. Because when you meet a friend, do you only give 1 minute? Do you speak quickly with your friend and you run off? No, you want to spend time with your friend. So you give them time, you give them food, you give them, you invite them, etc. So imagine, do the same things for salat, but salat is not like a living being where you have to give it food and time like this. So how do you give time? You pray longer. So especially in the wajib prayers, the Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, those 5 wajib prayer namaz that we have, Brother Jafar.
Concerning this issue of prayer, we should make, as you just mentioned here, that we should make salah as our friend, in such a way that whenever we have problem or whenever we are stressed up, we should just pray 2 rakats. One of the Sahabas, he was walking outside, and one person disturbed the Sahaba, I don't know, cursing or saying negative. This person went directly to the mosque and prayed 2 rakats. When he came out, this person, the guy who was his enemy, and he cursed him or told him anything negative, he asked him, "What did you go? Where did you go? I saw that I disturbed you, but you went to the mosque. What happened? Why did you go to the mosque?" He said, "I got angry and I went to the mosque to pray 2 rakats for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide you." And this person, from that point, he decided to become a Muslim. He decided to change his life completely. Why? Because this person just used salah to comfort himself. Because he was so angry, but he said, "No, I have to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and talk to Allah." And with that, this person was guided. That is one. The other thing that You said that we should make salah as our friend. If we give it time, it will give us comfort. Like Imam Ali, when he was participating in the battlefield, and he got some wounds, he got some, some arrows inside his body. When he was standing to pray, during the process of his prayers, is when his family was coming, and they were covering the wounds, and they were cleaning the wounds and taking out the arrows that were sent to his body. So when he was praying, he was not in this world at all, because the comfort that he was feeling was out of this world. So, but if we don't see the effects of prayers in ourselves, then we should know the issue is not with the salah itself, but the issue is with us. We are praying, that just like the way hen eats its food, just quickly, as if it was something that it should just get out of us. We are just doing it as an obligation. That is wrong. But we should pray it with comfort. Then the prayer also will give us comfort. If you have stress, just pray 2 rakats. Then look at yourself. How are you going to be before the prayer and after the prayer? So if we give the prayer the whole of ourselves, then it will give us the whole of its bounties and comfort. That's just the point I was adding. Sorry.
Thank you, Brother Jafar. I just want to add, we've got a message from one person, and he asked about his friend. So, I'm just going to read from the translation I've done for this individual. So the number, your number is ending with 4126. 4126. If you're listening to the program, the friend that you've inquired about, I'm not going to mention his name. He is not happy with you because you've done something that has hurt his feelings, and he is now planning to take revenge on you. So I don't know what, I don't want to say what you've done, but if you want more information, write to me after, and I can go in more depth with you with the guests that we have behind the scenes. And what you should do is try to mend with this person and explain why you did what you did. Otherwise, this will get more worse, and actually, you might even ruin your reputation. So, if you're looking at or listening to this program, just make sure you take this advice and make those amends, because it was your fault. It was not his fault. But everyone's a human being, and they do make mistakes. If you make a mistake, the other person can also make a mistake, and shaitan is also in the picture. Shaitan will also cause waswas. Not everyone is Habil and Qabil. One brother did not attack the other brother because he feared Allah, and he knew that this was a shaitan's plan. Therefore, but not everyone can behave in that way. So if you do one reaction, the other one will also do a reaction, because not everyone is masoom in this sense. Now, coming back to Salat, Brother Jafar. So, Brother Jafar, as we were discussing about Salat is your protector as well. It protects you from many dangers, many fitnas, and we already said in the beginning of our program, not this program, but the previous programs, that Salat protects you from fahisha or indecent acts. So it keeps you sane. It protects you from insanity. It protects you from doing something stupid, crazy, where you lose your respect. So it's a shield. It's a barrier. It's a protector. So you can see how this salat is so important. It protects you. It's your friend. It's your companion. It's someone who comforts you. So this salat is very important. And the more you give it time, and the more you pay attention to it, the more you reap the benefits from it. Now, what I mean by giving it time, what I mean by giving it your attention. So it's not like another human being where physically you see the other human being and you feed them, clothe them, you give them time by talking to them. No. What you have to do is make sure that you, when you come for prayer, you come in your pure tahara, you do proper wuzu, and that your stomach is not full, that your stomach is a little bit empty, and you're paying attention when you're reading the salat, you're paying attention to the words that you are reading, your mind is not going here and there. So these will improve the quality of your salat and the relationship of your relationship with salat. The more you pay attention to this, so if you keep in your mind That salat is a friend, is a living being, it's looking at you, watching you, and it's seeing how you're praying, and it knows your thoughts as well. So it's reading your thoughts. Therefore, you will know, okay, this salat is looking at me, it's talking to me, it understands what I'm doing, it's even reading my thoughts, so I need to make sure that I pray correctly. And if you do this, then you will understand, and you understand the beauty of salat and the pleasure of reading salat. But and this is the only way I was able to make myself read salat when I started to picture salat as a living being. And I'll give you an example, Brother Jafar. There was a lady, a woman, during the time of the Prophet. So her husband went to travel somewhere for some business trade or whatever it was. And in those times, if someone goes for travel, they wouldn't come for months, 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months, even a year sometimes, because of the trading that they do in Makkah and Medina. That Hijaz was a place of trading. Many Arabs in that time were trading. So, explaining the case, this lady was a seller of vinegar. She would sell vinegars to the Muslims. And at some point, she did a very bad act. So she did fornication. She did adultery. And through that adultery, a baby was born. So a baby was born, and she didn't know what to do. So she killed the baby, and she burnt the baby in the fire. And the ashes of the baby, she put it in the vinegar and sold it to the Muslimin of that time, during the Prophet's time. Then at some point, her inner conscience started to wake her up. What did you do? So she started feeling guilty. So she at some point couldn't take it anymore, and she ran to the Prophet's mosque in Medina, and she said, "Ya Rasulullah, I need to talk to you alone. Please ask everyone to go away, and I need to talk to you alone. Like, I've made a big mistake in my life." So the Rasulullah says to his Ashab, "Okay, give us some privacy." They give us some privacy, and she explains to the Prophet, "Ya Rasulullah, O Prophet of Allah, I committed so and sin." So Rasulullah shows anger on his face, and then he stays quiet. He ponders over it, and he says, "Before I give you the had, the penalty, the punishment, do you want to know why you did this sin? What made you do this sin?" She says, "Yes, Rasulullah, I want to know." So Rasulullah says, "You used to miss your Asr prayer. You would qaza your Asr prayer. And because of that, you are being punished. It is because of that. The Asr prayer was upset with you, and this is why this has happened to you." And so, brothers and sisters, if you are watching this program, make sure you don't miss your Zohar Asr prayer. Asr prayer especially. There's something about the Asr prayer. If you remember, even in Karbala, Imam Hussain alayhi salam read his Asr prayer and then he was shaken. And this is something, there's a secret there. I don't know the full secret behind this, but there is some secret there. There is some code there. Asr prayer has a certain value in the eyes of Allah. Maybe it's the middle prayer. So you've got the Zohar, Fajr and Zohar. Then you've got the Maghrib Isha. This is the middle prayer. Maybe that's the reason why. There's something about the Asr prayer. So make sure you pay attention to your Zohar and Asr prayer. And I think Imam Hussain alayhi salam also said this to I think his sister as well, about the Zohar Asr prayer and the Namaz Shab prayer as well. Brother Jafar, do you have anything to add? My throat is dry.
I told you to go and have some water before. We are just remaining with 7 minutes. I think I would like to raise a point. If there is no other issue, or if you have any message there, you can read. You can.
Yes, I have a few messages, Brother Jafar, I wanted to read. So someone asked to do an istikhara. Can you do an istikhara, Brother Jafar? If that's okay.
No, our time here is past midnight. They can just leave their contact. So long as they have already intended for the istikhara, then you can give them the answer tomorrow, or even you can text them tomorrow, inshallah.
Okay, and there's one
person. Our time right now is 6 minutes to 12, so we already crossed. It is 6 minutes.
So there's one person who's asked to do an istikhara. I'll I've asked the person behind the scenes that is watching this program and is with us online. I've asked him to do the istikhara for brother Ahmed, brother Amir. So your niyat was you didn't tell the niyat, but you wrote the niyat down. The istikhara has come. No, don't do this at the moment, because if you do this, the ending is bad, and therefore either change your niyat or change the niyat slightly to have a different outcome, and then do another istikhara, and we will tell that. This was brother Amir, and another person is sister Layla. So sister Layla, you've asked for an istikhara, and I passed your message to the person behind the scenes, and he's also said he's done istikhara for you, that yes, it is good, and there's blessing in this, so you can continue this. And if you want to know the surah and ayah, I can send that to you after this program. Then there's another person who sent their picture, and they're asking about marriage. What will happen? Why can't they get married? So, sister, if you're looking at this, your number ends with 3471. 3471. So if you're watching the program, you previously, as I understand from the ayat, you probably had 2 marriages and they didn't end well. The 2 marriages didn't end well. So this third one that you are thinking about, please take more advice, and then consultation, and then make a decision. So brother Jafar, this was basically a few people that had written to us. Let's see if other people do write to us. The reason why we're doing this is just to give you guys, people that are watching the program, how istikhara, the Quran helps and has so much guidance and advice in them. Do you want to add anything,
Yes,
brother
bro.
Jafar?
One thing, you mentioned something to do, or when we were mentioning the whole issue about gender equality. We talked about the issue of providing or helping your husband when it comes to financial issues. And Alhamdulillah, on your side, you mentioned the biography of Lady Khadija. And as we are approaching the days of her demise, I would like to mention this as our final point, is that the Lady Khadija, alayha salatu wassalam, may Allah grant be upon her, peace be upon her. She gave out everything just to see the Holy Prophet comfortable, and just to see the Holy Prophet propagating the religion of Islam in his comfort zone, or with his own comfort. She gave out everything. It reached to a point that the Holy Prophet said the Islam wouldn't have stood as it is if it wasn't for the wealth of Khadija, and if it wasn't for sword of Imam Ali, and if it wasn't for support of Abu Talib. So those are the 3 pillars. The Holy Prophet mentioned the only lady who supported her for the Islam to be as how it is, it was Lady Khadija. And dear viewers, Lady Khadija, salamullahi alayha, she gave out everything that she had. Even at the time that she passed away, she didn't have any wealth left out. The Holy Prophet used everything when it was they had that calamity of Sheba bin Abi Talib. They used everything. The Holy Prophet couldn't even find a kafan. The Holy Prophet could not even. We shall talk about her biography in a brief. The Holy Prophet couldn't even find that wrapping material that we normally use as Muslims to cover to cover our debts. The Holy Prophet didn't even have a penny for that. Because of her dignity, because of her position, Jibreel salamullahi alayhi decided to descend down with 5 kafans. And one of the kafans, or the first kafan, was for Lady Khadija. The other kafans, inshallah, we are going to talk about them tomorrow as we discuss more about the life of Lady Khadija. وبهذا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, dear brothers and sisters, for watching the program and watching the whole program. If you have any questions, any answers that you want answered, please write on the number that we've given to you through WhatsApp. This is the only way we can answer them, through WhatsApp, and we will answer them for you. Thank you so much for watching the program.